Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Pastor Richard Chang Kun Sung, Director of St. James Church Kindergarten, Dr. Betty Chang Po King, Director of Yu Chung Education Foundation and International President of Pacific Early Childhood Education Research Association, Dr. Penny Lawattanapong, Director of Mahidol University International Demonstration School, Thailand, and our moderator today, Mr. Sumetin Sangtairatnukul ขอกราบเรียนเชิญค่ะ
Good afternoon, and I hope you all enjoy your lunch and the presentation all day long. Just a moment. Okay. Today we will have first the sequence of our panel discussion for this afternoon will be the school presentation for each school, and as you can see that the first one is from the kindergarten level, the next one is from China, and the other one is from the demonstration school in Thailand. We will see the diversity of all the educational management and school management from several countries, and you will see very interesting aspects that all the speakers will tell us, will let us know. And then we'll move on to the discussion, which is, as you can see from our topic, building and boosting intelligence in all class levels, maximize learning potential for 21st century learners. 21st century skills nowadays are very, very important. And this is the trend in educational realm, if I may say, that we all want to see how can we do it. Everyone knows that 21st century skills are very important for our students, for our learners. But how? How can we do that? How can we make it happen? This is a very, very good time to see how to make it happen from around Asia. And we now have our first speaker from St. James Church Kindergarten, Pastor Richard. Are you ready? Yes, please.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to come by and share with you as a practitioner and to introduce to you what our preschool is like over in Singapore. It is an example of what is happening in Singapore right now, that even in the early childhood sector, we are moving into the third wave. When we talk about moving forward, to educate our children and prepare them to move on upwards into the primary and secondary school. And the foundation years are very, very important. I'd just like to take a little bit of time to introduce our school to you. So, oh, sorry about that. Just a couple of pictures of what our school looks like. It occupies about 3 hectares of land and with different blocks. And these are some of the pictures that you see. The children, they are at work or at play or in all the activities that we have in our school here. To us, it's a very beautiful piece of property, and the children are very, very lovely. And they enjoy the school days with us, and each day is very exciting to them. Now, many schools may think that to put emphasis into the facilities and into the education system. But one of the things that we need to recognize is that we need to be very clear of our vision and our mission and our core values. Because without a clarity of our vision and mission and core values, we do not have a focus and direction to move into the future. So we have our vision. Our vision is that we are a preschool where every child experiences high-quality education. And the child is developed into a well-rounded individual and demonstrate godly character. And our mission is to fulfill that, is to provide an environment that offers high-quality and holistic early education and to nurture values based on the Christian principle. That's because we are a faith-based school, a school that's owned by the church. And so our core values are more towards the character building of a child, knowing, understanding if a child could find the foundation in building their life, they will then be able to move on into the other learning of knowledge otherwise. So we talk about respect, nurture, and godly character. Share a little bit of the profile of a kindergarten. It was established as a small setup in 1977 as a not-for-profit preschool. We took over about 20 years ago and decided that we would like to transform this small setup to become a school of excellence. And so we started the transformation 20 years ago. And by the time, 10 years down the line, we have moved on to become the largest single preschool in the whole of Singapore. We have a campus that have 900 children in that one single school. We just added another campus of 380 children, so you're adding up 1,000 over. In 2016, we're acquiring a piece of property, and that should take in another 1,000 students. And all these children are from 2.5 years old to 6.5. That is the preschool education before they move on to primary school from 6+ to 7 onwards. When we took over this little preschool, we decided we want to build a school of excellence, because anything less than that is not worthwhile doing. And whatever we want to do, we do it excellently well because we want to give the best to our children. And that's what we did. We went on to create a school that could provide high-quality education, yet affordable school fees, since we are a not-for-profit school, and to make this education available to all Singaporeans. It's accessible to all, and meanwhile, we embark upon our social responsibilities to the society. So today, our school is one of the SPARK accredited, that is the Singapore Preschool Accreditation Framework, started 3 years ago. We are recognized for progress in teaching and learning. There are about 1,600 preschool in the country of Singapore, and out of which now about 300 odd preschool have achieved this particular SPARK accreditation. And it's a quality rating scale that our government has set up to encourage and challenge all our preschool educators to rise to what we call high quality education for our children. So we continue to work on this work of excellence, and we have gone beyond just operating as a preschool, so we move on to become a center of excellence, whereby we are not just taking care of the children who are with us, but we want to service the nation, our society, and currently we are moving into the international circle where we are called upon to provide consultation to various nations that ask us to help them. And that is the very reason why we have chosen to respond to your kind invitation to be here, because we like to share with you what we have learned all these years. So we are a learning center where we provide training for early childhood educators. We're taking around 100 trainee teachers per year. So we have what we call a preschool practicum center that is based in our own campus. And we have academic heads and leaders who are specially set aside to become mentor leaders and teachers who will guide these trainee students, educators who have come on board in attachment with us. So we make ourselves into a mentoring center because mentoring is one of the foremost excellent system of transferring our culture, our learning, and to develop the trainee teachers into all other teachers who want to come and learn from us, to mentor them so that they become much better teachers. And we serve as a model center, a center where we welcome educators to join us in their learning journeys in early childhood educations. And so on a monthly basis, we will have foreign delegates who come by to be with us. And we got to know about Thailand, where Chulalongkorn University sent their delegates over. It was a good time that we spent with them. And so we welcome you if you would like to come and visit us. And we will share with you all that we can. And we also make ourselves into a resource center where there's exchanges of resources and best practices among preschools. We freely share whatever we have learned because we like to bless as many children as possible. And meanwhile, we have moved on into this whole collaboration with various preschool and with other colleges and educators from all over. Because we would like to work with them in the development of various pedagogical approaches. We have adopted some of these, what we think are some of the best pedagogical approaches, and we therefore welcome educators to come and join us so that we can collaborate with them to develop some of these approaches. And the latest is that we have make ourselves available as a lab school for the training in the Vygotsky development cognitive curriculum that has finally moved into Asia from both US and Europe, from the UK. And we have been the first one who have brought that in, and now we are introducing the Vygotsky developmental cognitive curriculum to the schools in Asia. And to be a school of excellence, of course, as we continue to move on, we have been very privileged to receive quite a lot of awards. The awards were started about 8 years ago when the government decided that they want to reform or transform the early childhood sector. So they used various forms and encouraging the educators to raise the quality of teachings. And so we also embarked, as we said 10 years ago, and move on. So for the last 8 years when the awards came out, we have so far won 8 Outstanding Teacher and Leaders Awards, 11 Innovation Awards, 2 Learning Center Awards, 20 Children's Individual Awards from National Education, Arts, Literacy Competition, and likewise. This allows us and it challenges us as a school to continue to innovate, continue to grow, continue to become a more excellent center to service the nation. But it's very important to know our philosophy, because our philosophy will inform us how do we conduct ourselves in terms of who we are, what we are, where are we going from here, and what are we doing with the children that the parents has entrusted into our hands. So the philosophy is very important, and I trust that we will take time to build upon our own education philosophy that will not only govern the way we operate the school, and especially guide our teachers in the way they work with the children. So our philosophy, of course, will inform the kind of education approaches we use. The children are guided into discovering their original design. That's to say, believing that each child is unique. They have a unique identity, and we would like to work with them as individuals, to treat them with respect. Children are empowered to celebrate their differences and diversity, because every child is different from the other. So we consider and appreciate their diversity. And children are free to enjoy their childhood and not rush to grow up. Children are supported to maximize the potential strengths, and the best interests of the child shall be the guiding principle of the parents and educators. So very quickly, I'll show to you our education approaches. We use various approaches to look at the foundation soup. You need all the wonderful and best ingredients to bring out the best soup that you want. So this is our SPICE program curriculum that is therefore designed to put the various blocks in place. And we place the spiritual character development as the top and the foremost, because above everything else, education is not just knowledge, but education is to nurture our children to become the future citizen of our nation, citizens who we can trust to take the nation forward to the next generations. And so that's our SPICE curriculum. And our pedagogical influences so far, now we have taken from the world, from the best global practices that we have. Natural sciences from Mattel, Israel, multiple intelligences from Howard Gardner from US, the Reggio Emilia approach from Italy, and the project approach from US, key to learning from Russia, and the many ways of seeing, which is from Berlin, Japan. And we bring all this together, integrate them together, and build these various blocks into our education system in St. James Church Kindergarten. So in that sense, we have been experimenting and moving on into this globalized education concepts, as well as moving into the third wave. And so describing the third wave will be described in this way for us as we create our learning atmosphere environment, that our children are valued as unique individuals. There's a culture of trust and respect among teachers, children, and parents. Children are encouraged to share their thoughts, feelings, and ideas. Teachers encourage questioning, wondering, and problem-solving, which is a critical and creative thinking that comes from our Mattel program. And that's an emphasis on exploration and discovery and learning, rather than having teachers download information. So our children do not sit there and wait for the teachers to download. We enable them, empower them, guide them, so they can find knowledge for themselves. So we provide all kinds of opportunities for the children to express their learning in multimodal ways. And by the way, we work together with the children by scaffolding and mediation, so that the children can learn the best from the teachers. Innovation and creativity is central in our education program at St. James Church Kindergarten. Here's some parting thoughts. Just in conclusion, the early childhood education is not just about academic learning, more and more, but it's about building and nurturing the children. It is about giving them opportunity for sensory experiences, having a sense of wonder and observing. So our children love to wander around the school grounds seeking for knowledge. It is about creating a social environment for interaction, not only individual, but as a community, that they learn together, and we derive this sort of theory and practices from Vygotsky and the social constructive theory of learning. And then we build physical emotion resilience within the children, and Singapore children needs a lot of that today. so that they're able to face the challenges tomorrow while developing in each one of them a sense of self-worth and self-confidence in their own individual identity. And above all, we develop character and values which serve as a compass to guide them. And so thank you very much for the opportunity to share with you what our kindergarten is all about. And here's the contact. You can always contact us anytime. Again, you're most welcome to communicate with us either through email or come by and visit us. If you do extend an invitation, then we will try our best to respond, to come by and visit you. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Pastor Richard. And next we have Dr. Betty. Right? Are you ready?
Good afternoon, everybody. This conference is focused upon the success of the Educational Institute of Management in the 21st century. And this panel is emphasizing how to maximize learners' potential. Then let us look at how the school of the past century prepares students for the workforce. In the past century, thinking was not considered to be desirable. The teachers was the owner and provider of all knowledge. Children were passive receivers of knowledge and not active participants in learning. They were trained to be examinations and were expected to give the right answers and attain high scores. Students are trained and not educated. We know that the workforce of the 21st century has changed dramatically. The world has now become a digital world. Students can now get newer or free information from the internet. They do not need look at the textbooks because textbooks, after all, they are outdated. Society no longer cares how many facts the students can recognize. Even though they can get 100 marks and get all the facts right, it is no use. Why should the school train them to be regularizations of facts and become tools? Our students are not objects. They are not tools to be used by the society. They are the future leaders and owners within the society. Education will need to be more interactive and customized. Students need to be active in creating their own learning because we should be currently preparing young people for jobs that don't yet exist. Statistics from the U.S. Census Bureau gave us from the labor estimates that today's kids will have 10 to 14 jobs by the age of 38. At least half of the top 10 in-demand jobs in 2020 currently do not exist. We are currently preparing young people for jobs that don't yet exist, using technology that hasn't been invented yet. 21 million non-employers business, that means most of the people, like 30% of the American workers now, is going to be working on their own. In 2015, which is just a month from now, non-traditional workers will reach to 1.3 billion. This is from the U.S. Census Bureau. So naturally, what kind of skills must serve our students well in the 21st century? Lifelong skills for the 21st century, let's look at these skills. They are critical thinking and doing, creativity, collaboration, cross-cultural understanding, communication, computer, ICT literacy, career and learning, self-reliance, languages, environmentally conscious. Early childhood children explore nature, Let me share with you an experience I had of young children learning just a few weeks ago. I was visiting a 4-year-old classroom a few weeks ago. This is one of our organization's kindergarten. The children were exploring the outdoor play area. Let's see what they have found. They have found flowers, fallen leaves, twigs, and they've been searching and looking for them. After collecting these treasures they brought into the classroom, they asked the teachers to give them a container. They put water into the container and put in their collected treasures, which were leaves, flowers, and twigs. They are observing how the flowers' petals becoming soft, how some are floating, how some are sinking. And then all of a sudden, there is another child say, how about let's see what happens when we freeze them? Okay, they took it to the freezer, and now you see the children on your left. Here we see that little girl holding a cube of ice, which looks like some red petals frozen in the ice cube. On the right, the little boy must be picking up some ice cubes which have leaves and twigs. You can see that there is an ice tray. We must also remove the ice cubes into the plastic container. Well, while there was one group of children playing with the collected treasures, another group of children is captivated by an earthworm in the garden. Can you imagine what this little boy is thinking? They were so involved in observing the worm which is on the floor. Let's see what their conversation. One little girl say, look, it is a snake. Another one say, where? And then it says, oh, be careful, it can bite. And then they call for the teacher, Miss Bianca. Come, look, there's a snake. But another girl say, Caroline, it looks like a worm. Yeah, look. I wonder what does this look like? A snake? No, it is only a worm. Iris, can we take him to the classroom? Miss Bianca asked, is he a boy? Iris said, I think so, because he is so jumpy. Well, Miss Bianca put the wiggle worm on her hand and encouraged the children to feel it. Some were very scared, but Carolyn volunteered to hold the worm. How does it feel, Carolyn? Miss Bianca asked. Carolyn said, it is so cold, so cute, not jumpy. Oh, I love him. And Johnson observed the worm, and then he asked to try, although he was a bit hesitant. And then he took the courage, and he took it, and he smiled and said, ooh, it is so cute and super long. Miss Bianca said, be careful, Carolyn. If you drop the worm, it will run away. Carolyn responded, you forgot he has no legs? He cannot run away. Funny, isn't it, Miss Bianca? I'd like you to listen to the vocabularies that they are using. Trista said, the worms is not jumping. I'm very careful. I will not squash him or he will die. The students were anxious to build a house for the worm and wondered what kind of food they eat. So the students and teachers served the web engine together. And the teacher placed some soil, worms, and scooped to make a worm house. So the children are making a worm house. Yuki labeled the worm house by the worm house. They learned that the worms like a moist soil, so they remember to spray a little water every day. And they also know that they have to remember to feed them. They learned that the worms like a dark environment, so they tape a black paper around the worm house. Yuki, I put the worm in the bottle, see? Another child say, maybe he's hungry. Another one say, maybe he eats banana. Johnson say, no, he likes soil. Well, I'd like you to look at these words in there. The children, the teacher and the children are making guesses of one kind of food the worm eats. You can see here, they say they like leaves. I don't know if you can look at it. They like leaves, they like banana. And because we are a bilingual, we have English and Chinese. So you can see the children are flowing out with English and at the same time with Chinese. And they say fanke is Chinese. And they were using different words in which the vocabularies they know. And then children are responding, are reproducing earthworms in their own way. This is a higher level of learning. They share the drawings of words. Other ones, they use another way to express. When green and red together, they would turn brown. So they are, Carolyn actually is playing together, and then they are learning this color combination. Iris used pipe cleaner and making her pink earthworm. Children are creating a box for the wiggling worms. Look at the boy's face. It's very engaging. Putting everything they learned together, imagining earthworms living in their created world. So you see this little girl is with their created earthworms and then put in their earth house. Well, what are the life skills, lifelong skills that the students have acquired? Let's reflect upon some of the slides we have just viewed and draw out the skills that the children are demonstrating in their learning. First of all, you look at the language. I mentioned about that we are a bilingual school. So the children are just now, I talk about some of the things, they talk about the worm and the other ones think about the snake, so I won't go through this vocabulary. Now this is also a collaborative showing time. We can see how the children respond to using the language of their choice, in which here are both English and Chinese. They are learning a vocabulary relating to this activity. If we look closely into the photo, you will see children describing what they understand of the worm. They use the word like snake, very long, can coil around the tree. It's pink, and stripes on the body, wiggling worm. He has no mouth, so no teeth will grow. The Chinese would say, till her jumping around. In spite of the rich vocabulary in both languages, they even put in their logic. No mouth, so no teeth, then it cannot bite. No legs, so they cannot run away. Must be a boy because it's jumping. These use the sentences pattern like, because of this, therefore, can or cannot be this. Actually, in science, this is a hypothesis statement. Worm house. Look at this little girl. Actually, she was created a worm house too, as the worm jogging out of the box and put a label in the box worm, communicating through expression of arts and design. Environmentally conscious global citizens. As educators of the 21st century, we should nurture children to be global citizens. We want to expose them to nature. They will be learning from nature, learning about nature. They build their feelings. They move their feelings towards the earthworm. They show their care and compassion for these tiny creatures. They express their concern about the worms. What will he eat? Is he happy or is he hungry? I'm very careful. I will not squash him or he will die. Showing care and empathy. We need our next generation to be environmentally conscious. We need a sustainable world so that we will be able to save our Earth, this planet, which will soon be destroyed if we continue to abuse our homeland. Critical thinking and doing. These few children looking into a bottle. I put them in the worm. Do you see? They show the concern. Maybe he's hungry. Maybe he eat banana. No, he likes soil. This discussion among them lead to children making a worm house, and they label the worm house. And we feed them with worms, eggshells, leaves, and some fruit peels. We will remember to feed all the worms every day. We don't want them to be hungry. The children experiment with the natural treasures. They added the leaves, flowers, and twigs to the water. Look at their inquisitive eyes. They are showing wonders in discussing change. Through their scientific experiment, they keep on testing out their ideas. First, they start with water. After seeing the leaves, flowers turn into softer, the twigs are floating, some change colors, and other ideas comes out. See what happened when we freeze them. These require the critical thinking skills. Surely it's a self-directed learning through collaboration, communication, in innovative ideas constantly bursting out from them. Certainly, you need the innovative ideas to support you to formulate future inquiries, skills when necessary into the future innovative career. They are little researchers. Creativity, a higher level of thinking. Children were interested in using these natural treasures in their artworks. Suki is quietly and independently using what she has collected, created this picture. She is creative in her critical thinking. She is communicating through art. Yuki is creating what she knows from her experience with the natural world. She is creating, thinking, doing, and making. Iris is using another way to express herself through design and making, showing her understanding of the natural experience of the worms. She used pipe cleaners and created a worm. She created her worm in pink. She called it pink worms. Children created a box of wiggle worms. This little boy is in deep engagement, expressive, communicating through art, drawing, which shows the understanding of different culture and diversity. Thinking, doing, changing materials, and mixing colors. Carolyn said that when red and green Play-Doh is squashed together, it turns brown. We make some brown worms. Understanding green and red mixed out together maybe is an experimenting study. They are independently able to learn mixing colors, creating, and doing. This is another good example for the acquiring learning, which is another important life learning skills. Korean learning self-reliance. They are inquisitive. They want to know. They started to acquire information, and the teachers brought them to the computer to find the information they required. Children are anxious to find out what they can feed the worms. They are concerned that the worm would get hungry. They also want to build a house, home for the worm, because they want the worm to have a safe place to live. They know that the soil has to keep wet. They learn that the worm likes a dark environment, so they tape a black paper. They know the worms have to live in the soil. These are concepts they required from the study. They are going through critical thinking. They acquired information from the internet. They are very self-directed in their learning because of their curiosity. We are in a world which statistics have shown us that today's kids' generation, they will have 10 to 14 jobs by age of 38. How could they not be creative? Learning to be self-reliant is that they could have enough curiosity, knowing how to acquire information out from their interests, self-directed in order they could face challenges in their life, to enable them constantly thinking of what their next job should be, because at any time, their present career might be removed and would be extinguished. These are just only a synopsis of the learning take place during these two activities which a student undergo. Needless to mention that the richness of the school days, lots of communication and sharing of ideas, which naturally will develop their language and communication skills, which you have seen in previous slides. They are self-directed. They put up hypotheses, using experiment to find out the consequences and results. Constantly, they have innovative ideas coming out to satisfy their acquiring for knowledge. They either learn by themselves or collaboratively looking up and have the search on the computer. For a 4-year-old, raising questions, finding answers, and putting up hypotheses again constantly, this inquisitive, inquiring, and analytical mind will build up new knowledge. This should be our new generations. So with the focus on the success of the Education Institute of Management in the 21st century, would you consider these children are prepared as successful candidates for the jobs of the future? Would you like to have one of these students at your, to join your workforce? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Dr. Penny from Mahidol University International Demonstration School.
Thank you. Hello. Good afternoon, all the distinguished guests. What I would like to do is to use Mahidol Demonstration School as a case study, how we build a school to maximize student learning potentials. First, we have to take a look at our school identity. We are a demonstration school. In other words, in America, they would call a lab school, meaning that teaching is research for the best practice and share and practice and share and practice and research. It's an ongoing cycle. Secondly, Mahidol University is more than 100 years old. It started off as a medical university, and the name Mahidol actually comes from the last name of our present king, you know. And there is a famous saying, if you go to Mahidol, you will see it everywhere. The success of learning lies not in the acquisition of knowledge, but in the application of knowledge to serve mankind. This is our resources. This is our heritage that we have to bear in mind and make use of it. So if our teaching is not just learning the knowledge and skill, but have to use it to serve mankind. So already the attitude, the belief, the values is there, so we cannot ignore. And secondly, we have to think of our students as the 21st century learners. So we have to develop the skill, literacy necessary for them to become global citizens as well as Thai citizens. That is very much emphasized. So we're talking about local and global skill. Third, we have to know that we are 2 more years, we will be in the ASEAN community. A lot of time when I visit many schools, they talk about learning the ASEAN countries. They talk about learning the language of the ASEAN countries. But I think we cannot ignore what this morning one of our lecturers was saying, that cultural intelligence, what does it mean? How to cultivate cultural literacy, cultural intelligence, so that we keep in mind what is our mission, what is our values, what are our resources and heritage, and we build our curriculum from there. The third thing, one of the missions that I was given when I started building the school, that the school is to prepare our students for both programs, international programs and the Thai programs. because Mahidol as a university itself has more than 33 international programs and also many Thai programs. So our curriculum and our teaching has to embrace all the process necessary to prepare them for the school mission. The next important thing is to look at our student data, our student information. Our students came from 3 sources. They came from the Thai school, some of them come from the English program school, and a few come from international school. What does that mean to our teaching? It means that we cannot teach everybody in the class the same way, at the same pace. Everybody have their own background, different. So differentiate instruction is very crucial in my school. Learning what to learn is not as important as learning how to learn and why do you need to learn that. And so what if you know about it? So what if you learn about American Civil War? So what? If you learn about slavery or colonization in our, not only in our country, in the neighboring country, so what? And then after you learn that, then what? What are you going to learn? What are you going to do with what you know, the knowledge and skill? How can you serve your country, your nations? How would knowing about it make a difference in yourself as a person, your attitude, your belief? Okay? The next thing, then we look at the teacher profile. So when we get our students, our teachers get together, take their admission test result, and we analyze. The teachers were able to identify some critical learner needs that we feel very crucial. Number one is most of our students, even though they come from various programs, all of them are second language learners. What does that mean? It means that they need ESL teaching strategies. The teachers must appreciate their difficulty. So in so doing, in choosing the textbook, the resources, I advise that they don't choose the Western novels like American literature, but let's study about the world literature. I think reading a short story, Rise Without Rain, that talking about farmer, the Thai farmer that suffer through the drought and sometimes flood would make more sense to them because they have the cultural background knowledge. So the second thing, the second critical learner needs that my teachers were able to identify is that most of the students, they are passive learner. In other words, they learn by memorization. They don't quite yet. It doesn't mean they are not capable. They have not learned to do critical thinking. What does it mean? They have not learned how to analyze, synthesize, evaluate, interpret. So we feel that we need to develop that skill, and the learning process should help them to cultivate those skills. And the third thing, the third learner needs that my teacher was able to identify is that very few students learn how to take responsibility for their learning. So they wait until the teacher feed them the knowledge that they think that they need to know. So what we do, we decided, you saw this morning, the student and the teacher sit together, the teacher report with the parents, the teacher report the student performance to the parents and to the student. What we found in order to develop responsibility in learning, we develop what we call student-led conference, meaning the students have their learning portfolio, they show to the parents, and they explain to the parents what did they fail to perform to get an A, why did they get a B? If they have to do it over, what kind of improvement they have to do? They should take that learning into their responsibility. We have just started our second year, so our students are still clumsy in explaining their learning portfolio. But we are confident that by the second year, at the end of the second year, they should be able to do it more fluently. So next, teacher profile. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, teacher qualification. Before I go to that, let me talk about teacher profile. So our teacher must be English fluent. English fluency is a requirement. We don't care what nationality they are, but their speech must be clear and understandable to our students of different, most of them from Thailand, from Thailand. And secondly, they must be experienced or credentialed teachers. We prefer that. And very important, they must have ESL experience. In other words, they must have taught students who learn English as a second language, so they can appreciate the difficulties that the students go through. And then we prefer teachers who have experience in curriculum development. You know, we use American curriculum alongside with the Thai curriculum. American curriculum is the curriculum that is more what the Thai people would call local curriculum, depending on the local context. So they must know the process of curriculum development. Technology is integrated in the teaching and learning. So teacher must be technology savvy. For example, at our school, we use a power school to take attendance. Every class, the student go in, the teacher look at the face. In each classroom, we are about 20 to 23. So they enter right away. If the students are 5 minutes late, 3 tardiness is counted as 1 absent. So technology is everywhere. We use online materials. We use video clips. Our teacher developed what we call flip instruction, meaning that they develop their lesson into video clip, and students can bring that videos home, and they can watch it, think about it, and while they are doing homework, or if they have further questions. Action research. Right now, 3 of our students are working on their research to improve teaching and learning in science, in math, in English. Next, from the teacher profile, I would like to go to teacher qualification, but that is not that important, so I'm going faster. Here is a very important and find crucial. When I start building the school, I invite parents to form focus group. I said, we are building this school together. I would like to ask you, what kind of school do you think your child will be happy in? What kind of school do you want it to be? And we build up a system to involve parents as seen in the chart. They are involved in the academics. For example, they are involved in the curriculum committee, curriculum development committee. They are involved in the field trip, educational field trip. They are involved in the student study team, which later I will elaborate in detail what is student study team. And they are involved in our social activities, like community service, like sport days, sport games. We intentionally make it on weekends so that the family can join. Because adolescents, don't talk to their parents. They don't want the parents to come to school. So we must be clever in finding strategies to involve parents. And the third one is we want parents to be involved in teaching the students. Students must see parents as somebody who knows. They are expert. So we invite them sometimes, parents, to teach students what to do. We have a parent who owns a hotel, and he would like to invite our student to get training in his hotel and explore their career. Is that the career you are interested in or not? So move on from classroom to community projects. Everything learning in the classroom, sometimes they don't see the picture. We have to bring them to the real site. They have to learn together the primary evidence. One of the big projects we had last year is Weeks Without Walls. Let's go to Science Academy first. Okay. Science Academy is we bring the student to the university, to international college, and then they learn from the professionals. 10 of our students get scholarship for 3 weeks. 2 of them asked to remain for the whole month. We did it during a summer project. So they learned, and some of them in the beginning, they thought that they might be a doctor. They are interested in becoming a medical doctor, but after the Science Academy, they come back. Some of them change their mind. They want to be a scientist. They want to be a biologist. They want to be a chemist. So they get to learn by practicing the real thing. And 6 of our students this year go to the doctor camp. They are learning about medical requirement, the physician, to be physician. What is required apart from the knowledge and skill? So they enjoy that. These are some of the topics that our students have been working on in their Science Academy. So if you notice that ordinary high school will not have that choice, we use the resources we have at Mahidol to get that. Thank you. See, for example, microbiology, food science, chemistry, material science, computer science, and so on and so forth. And it has been a great success. Next summer, international college extend the scholarship for students. So instead of 10, they extend it to 20. And right away, we also have King's Mongkut, Lat Krabang, engineering, are interested to offer the training camp for our students as well. So learning jump from classroom into the real side at the different level. Sorry. Thank you. And next, Weeks Without Walls. Weeks Without Walls, this is a learning, oops. Uh-oh. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm such a nuisance. Sorry, weeks at all. Well, I'm just keep on talking until the pictures show up. You know, we choose the site last year. We choose to go to Kanchanaburi because it has a lot of resources for varieties. So we send the teachers first to survey the site and come back and talk about it and develop the unit of instruction for the Weeks Without Walls. The Week Without Walls lasts for 5 days. So station number 1. Is that station number 1? Yeah. Station number 1 has to do with biodiversity. So some of the activities are evaluate water quality, and then from the fresh water, determine correlation with the biodiversity. And then they have interdisciplinary connections between the water and the biology. You know, how the hydrosphere affect the ecosystem, and then how the animals interact and change and adapt to the changes. Then they make the connection to chemistry, ecology, the microbiology. Then the second station, see, there are 4 stations. Students rotate. They study 1 station a day. So the next station has to do with Ban Chong Kap, which is the place where they make a lot of herbal drinks and herbal medicine. So students apply what they learned in food science, chemistry, social study into this at this station. And the third station is to do with, The third station has to do with history, the World War II. You know, the railroad that many prisoners of war got kind of forced. They were forced to work at the railroad, and some of them caught malaria, and some of them died. So they study, they play the role before. They play the role as a scientist. They play the role as an entrepreneur when they're thinking about making the product for the herbal resources. And the third station, the student play the role as a social scientist. So they investigate. They find the evidence from what remains from interviewing, from seeing the remains of the railroad, and so on, and the documentary review. And the fourth one has to do with the culture, the Thai culture. It's Prasat Meung Sing, the temple. So students learned about the Khmer influence, the Khmer regime, and how they go back and trying to put the pieces together. They wrote a skit. They played a role as people at that time in different, some of them were money lender, some of them was the slave master, some of them were merchant, and then they put together a piece by the evidence they do and do the reflection. So has been a great success. And at night, every night, the students plan together. They develop what we call activities to team building activities to get to know one another and building team. And they have a lot of fun. Teachers have problem chasing them back to bed. They don't want to go to bed. So when we started off with Weeks Without War, we have about 190 students. But when I first asked them, less than 100 say they want to go. But after some persuasion, seeing the work, everybody went. And this year, when we think maybe we shorten from 5 days to 4 days, they cry. They want 5 days. Teacher, you have no reason to cut. We really learn a lot. When they come back, they have to do presentation, what they have learned, and do reflection. So another important thing that I would like to share is our student support system, student study team. Student study team, we involve any student can refer themselves to the student study team. The parent can refer student for student study team. The teacher can also refer. But we have set up last year 18 student study team. Every team will compose of parent himself, will be invited to join, student, teachers, or the teachers who teach that particular student. If they are free, we would like them to join, and administrator. Then a counselor or sometimes a psychologist will join. And the student study team then have different roles to play. As you can see in this one. And here are the roles of the student study team. As I say, we have 18 student study team. And the students that are referred to the student study team can have either behavior problem, learning problems, social problem, and emotional problem. But out of 18 teams, all of them have improved 80%. It's quite success. And this year we continue with our student study team. So I guess that's about it. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. And that was very interesting. And as I can see from Pastor Richard and Dr. Betty, one thing that I've seen in common from your schools are that you are using the technique of exploring and discovering for the student to at last engage in the constructivism. And I can see that it is a very interesting point to mention that it is a very important for schools today. But one thing, how can we do that? How can we engage the student to do that? Because it is not just teacher going to tell the student, okay, you do this, you do that. But from what I can see from your presentation is that they are very engaged. And how can you start that?
The case study just now presented by Dr. Batty, we define, for us, we call it a project approach. So each year, for one single term, we will take the children through a project work whereby the children's interests will be considered very carefully, and they will choose the kind of interests they would like to explore and pursue. Then, as the whole school and as the class group and as the teachers who come alongside with them to explore, to help them to navigate through that exploration, to bring out that interest and create a project, document that. And the project approach is such that we believe children can maximize the potential far more than what we think they can. Because in our school, we subscribe to the understanding that Vygotsky's social constructive theory and the concept of ZPT, which is a zone of proximate development, where children can actually move beyond what you consider their current independent ability to a higher level. If you believe in that, and you come alongside with them and work with them, they can arrive. One of the evidence that happened just this year in our school, we submitted an innovation project that has to do with the many ways of seeing. And this project was conducted by 2.5 years old children, dealing with sensory experiences in their reflection when they deal with various materials, and moving into the many ways of seeing plus the haptic experience. You Google, you'll be able to understand what I'm talking about. And that project was submitted for an Innovation Award, a competition for all early childhood, right up to 6+ years old. And this 2.5 years old project won the Distinction Award. And many teachers were surprised, how could it be possible that 2.5 years old could collaboratively produce such a project. But if you would watch them and observe them, these 2.5 years old, as they move into this project work, they can sit solid 45 minutes without moving because they're so engaged in what they are doing. And parents were brought on board to explore together with the children, and the parents were very surprised. So really, the important thing is to discover what is the pedagogical approach and the methodology you want to use if you want to bring the children forward into what have been described as the third wave, right? Where we enable the children to explore, discover, learn, and fully engage. So we have documented many of these events that shows that it can be done.
Yes, yes, Dr. Penny?
Okay.
Sorry, Dr. Betty.
Okay. Actually, the classroom that I show to the audience, I've told you that they are 4-year-old children. We were not doing the project approach. We have adopted another approach we call the emergent approach. The emergent approach actually is more of the children's interest. So the only thing that I answer to you is anything which is of interest to children would be engaging in. We had project approach, but we moved away from project approach in the kindergarten, and we are using the emergent approach. And I was very amazed when I was visiting them. Honestly, I was educated in the States in the 70s, but at that time we don't have the emergent approach. I mean, the emergent approach is only very recent. And I asked the teacher, and I'll say, how do you teach them the language? Because language is so important, right? And then they show me that the different ways of doing it is to arouse their interest. Like, first of all, they would start with the name. Well, English is easy because they can just copy, circles and lines. But Chinese is a bit difficult. But they recognize it. They know that that is my name. And they encourage them every day. They have to take a book back. So how do they get it from the library? Then each classroom has their own library. Then the teacher have drawn each student one page. And he knows that that is my page. And what he has taken, he will just write the number. And then from that page, I can see how the child progressed in taking up the language. Before it was just scribble, and then later you can see that it assembles, right? So this is the approach that we adopt. And I was also one time, it's very amazing, is now during the time when I was did my training, we would look at the child's interests, and immediately we would catch on this interest, and then we would prepare something for the child. But this time when I saw our children playing, they were playing airport, and then they used the Lego to make up their own airplane. And then both of them, they have something on top, and they took it out, and then they start to use as a telephone. They were talking to each other. So it's their way of thinking of the airplane, because you need to communicate, so you have a telephone. Then obviously I was thinking, oh, okay, then they would continue to do the airport. But then the teachers say, no, I have still to observe. I do not really know how they would want to continue and what their real interest is. So the answer to your question is, as long as that we can really capture the children's interest, and that is how we can do it.
Thank you very much. And Dr. Penny, you mentioned about the different learning styles that the students are very, well, we are all different.
Yes.
And what my question is that how can we incorporate the 21st century skills to suit their learning style? Because we have like 1,000 learning style, if I might say. So how can you do that? Because I've seen from your management of your classroom, and you say you seems to manage to get them engaged in the project that you were working on.
Yeah, thank you. The first thing is we have to understand that we need to give priorities and what is our focus. For example, our student who comes from different language skill, they might understand, but they don't have the words, the vocabulary, the sentence to express themselves. So one learning style is finding different modes they are comfortable to express themselves. Number two, you can provide them almost like what we call scaffolding techniques. You see the scaffold when they build the building at different floor, they have a stand for people to stand on in order to reach and build on. So the scaffolding techniques is providing them the support to express their understanding, their interpretation, maybe giving them the word, the sentence structure, ask them to draw a mind map, draw pictures. Those are some of the strategies. That's one of the learning styles. The most important thing is to do differentiate instruction. When you build a curriculum, as I said, not every student moves at the same pace. So we develop what we call layer curriculum. Layer curriculum meaning they might start off with level C and move to level B or level A. And some of them might be very comfortable to start with level A, but they need even some more challenges. What would be the bonus point? How would we get them to think further? So interacting between teachers and students is simultaneously. You cannot interact and stop and go on teaching. You have to think along with the student, understand them, and how to encourage them to move forward. I told my teachers that they are adolescents. So if you lecture more than 15 minutes, they stop listening. So if you lecture the most 15 minutes, you engage them, finding strategies to help them deepening their learning, to help them reflect on their learning.
Thank you very much. And Pastor Richard, I've seen from your presentation that you're using several approaches, and it seems that they have their own emphasis on each approach, right? And what do you see in the outcome of each approach in your students from your experience?
I think we need to understand if we look at the global world, and each country among the educators, including right here, will emerge a group of educators who will begin to experiment, and having picked up the various ideas from all over the world, you want to produce something, an education system or methodology or pedagogical approach that is sufficient enough to meet your own context within your own nation, among your own people. So we realize in Singapore that we are too small a nation to consider that something could easily come out from us. We do have. Recently, there was a released article of the mathematical studies that has been used all over the world today. But because we emphasize among the early childhood sector that we must be most innovative and creative to search for the best practices. And so what we do is that we will look at the various well-performed and well-documented methodology approaches that have been had years of functions within that nation, and we visit the various nations, and we'll pick that up and say that now, what are some of the best materials and approaches we can derive from each of these educational publication, you put it that way. Then we will take that together, integrate it into our own system, and be able to manage it in such a way that we can say that we have a global infusion of what we feel is the best. And so something along what Dr. Betty said about the emergence aspect of it, that already is being introduced within our own curriculum and into the Singapore early childhood sector. So now we have to integrate what we are doing, including the project approach. Instead of moving away from it, we integrate it into the emergence methodology. So it's to create a richer and we find a fuller curriculum that we think that would be most helpful. And that is also able to apply and to help different individuals, different children who may have a certain way of learning. And so when we apply differences, we are able to meet the needs of various children so that all individuals could have an opportunity to rise and move upwards.
Thank you very much. And this is to all of you. I have just one question that I think most of us wants to know. As schools executives, how can we get teachers in our school to do that? To incorporate the 21st century school, to engage more in this? Because if I can say that we're still stuck with the old traditional method, how can we start doing that?
Okay, can I go first? What happened is that we recruit teachers from all over the place. In other words, most of our teachers are of U.S. citizens, but many of them has taught overseas because we want them to have ESL experience. But we also have teachers from the United Kingdom. We have teachers from Asian country. From New Zealand, we have 2 teachers who got their study from New Zealand. So what we do is, and even teachers come from the same country, if they graduate at different years from their teacher training school or normal school, their teaching strategies will be very different. So the first thing we do is we build the school profile or school expectations, and we send it to them, have them take a look at it so they know our expectations. And number 2, we ask them to come earlier, 1 month, we pay extra. Our school started in September. We have them come in August, and we spend the whole month talking and sharing understanding about the best practice and develop our organization culture. You see, they have their national culture, but we are building the organization culture. As I said, Mahidol is a long-term university, long time. So if they are an organization, they are quite old. So, but they have a lot of heritage. That's why they pride themselves to be wisdom of the land. What does that mean? We have to make it, concretize it so that our teacher can see how does that would apply to our high school level, whereas the university is the university level. So I think preparing them ahead of time, let them know our expectation and see for themselves whether they fit in this organization or not. And if they don't, they might seek elsewhere. Okay, we do not penalize them, but it's better for them to know our expectation. Then we provide the whole month professional training, and not just that, we schedule 6 professional days throughout the years where they get training, ongoing training, and encourage them to share their best practice, what they taught in their lesson is good, they share it with the other teachers. We also provide coaching. One teacher might want to coach the newcomer. So we encourage all this.
Yes, Dr. Betty?
I agree very much to your minister this morning. It says that actually all teachers, after they have been trained, qualified, the method to use and also being in a school, applying methods. I don't quite use the word emergent or project approach or inquiry approach and all that, because teaching can be so flexible. And we have many, many ways of, I put in many programs into our school. I have a program which is the violin program. I started children at age of 3. And then the whole class, they would have violin. We have hundreds of violins this size. And why do I start with violin? Because violin at our auditory system would not be completed until developed until the age of 6. And right. So this is the time that it is very good for the children to have the auditory, and that is for their perfect pitch. Now, listening is very important. It's not just only music, because if they know how to listen, there's a lot of things they do not have to remember. So listening is important. And why is it that I use violin? Because eye and hand coordination, that is also one part, which is also very important. Well, our school, we have artists in residence. We have scientists in residence. So these are extra teachers that they are not counted at teacher-children ratio. I would like our students to, even in kindergarten, that the artists would go into the classroom, work alongside with them, anything that they would like to do. Or the artists would do something and then they would like to come and see. This is how the real artist works. So teaching in a school is very flexible. What is important is the administrators. You really have to, as your CEO just now mentioned about that, you have to trust. You have to trust the teachers that they know what to do. And most important, if you want to we select if the person has the passion, have the love, and have the flexibility. Because as I did the research for this symposium, these are things that I collected from the internet, how the 2020 would look like. So if we do not allow this flexibility in the classroom, in your school will always be in a confined square. You do not know what's happening in the world in not even to say 10 years, maybe 5 years from now, maybe, as I say, 2015, 2020 would be 5 of the main professions will be gone. So constantly, these are new challenges. So I think teachers have also to learn together with children. And administrators also have to learn together with children too. So we are a learning community, a community that is built and is for everybody to learn and to go forward.
Thank you very much. President
I do concur with what has been shared. In the Singapore sector today, the Singapore government has invested tremendously in the last number of years in the transformation of the teachers' training, as well as raising the quality of the teachers in our school. So, of course, it included the various criteria that were mentioned in order to create a situation where teachers would want to come into the industry because it changes, the whole landscape has changed to make teachers feel in the early childhood, as far as teachers are concerned, that this is a place to be. They should be well compensated in many ways, as well as challenged and given opportunity to learn and to move on upwards in this particular career of theirs. So the Singapore government has done a tremendous lot in this area, and I really appreciate what has been mentioned there. As I listened to the earlier speakers when they showed and flashed all the criteria, I said, that's great because we are on the right track in Singapore. So as far as our school is concerned, we follow the same star. But above everything else that's been said, I believe that if we need to present to our teachers recruit or to retain the teachers who are with us, that they will stay on with us and grow with us, if we could give them a sense of vision, that they are working and looking forward to the future, and re-emphasize the mission and who they are and what they are doing. And along the way, to continue to cultivate, to continue to create the passion within them. Together as a loving and nurturing community, that we function as a group of people who clearly know why we are here and why we are doing what we are doing, where we are going from here, and together, if we move on forward, we'll be able to do the best and most excellent deliverables to our children and to our nation. And so I hope that teachers in whichever field you are in, that you will capture this. And so our school, because of this sort of emphasis, we're able to recruit and retain, and we have got very excellent teachers to stay on with us.
Okay, of course. Yes, I want to add on is, I want to let our audience know, it is not just only kindergarten you can do this. We do it all the way through to even secondary. In our secondary school, we have the world classroom. Our children are chosen a country with a different culture, because our school's philosophy is the integration of the East and the West culture. And then we have the two languages, which you see that our children, even in the kindergarten, they are using these two languages. So we choose another culture which the students were able to be there to understand the culture, to spend a week with the students in there and visit the historical places and even do some social works in there. So it's not just only the kindergarten. I'm just happy that I went to the kindergarten and I took these pictures to present. Primary school, do it project approach, integrated approach, and I say teaching is very flexible. And I can see the future in Thailand, because what really governed and making this square is really the examination. I mean, if your government can do away with the examinations, then it would be much, much easier for everybody, for teachers, for administrators, to be able to give this happy learning environment for the children.
Yes, can I just add one last thing very briefly? I think despite the teacher knowledge and skill, the most important thing is the relationship with your student. If you don't have good relationship, they refuse you, they don't learn. So relationship is number one. And the teacher has to teach whatever they teach. They have to go through them as a person. So we cannot dictate to them how to teach. We can inspire them, but we cannot dictate. We can point to the direction, but not direct it, as one of your CEOs said this morning. I was so impressed. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. If there are any questions from our audience, we have a microphone standing around here. Okay, so if there is no question from the audience, I would like to wrap up this panel discussion, and I would like to thank Pastor Richard Chwang Khon Sung, Dr. Betty Chang Po Kin, and Dr. Penny Law Wattana Pongsa. Thank you very much.